Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are now having 40+ thousand new cases a day. I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around. And so I am very concerned.
Dr. Fauci yesterday. By the way, did you hear in the middle of it? Listen.
We are now having 40.
That's what they call it. 40,000 a day. Could we go up to 100,000? What? 100,000? Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Is it spreading? Of course it's spreading. But who's it spreading to? The young. And by young, I mean young adults. 20s to early 30s. It's spreading to them. The chances of them surviving, pretty great, which is bringing the mortality rate down. But it is causing states across the country to reevaluate what's happening. So, California, getting ready for more restrictive rules, coming back. Texas already rolled back some of their opening. Florida's done the same. Georgia's not too far behind. And Doug Ducey out here in Arizona has rolled everything back outside of restaurants, including gyms, which has been a big point of contention here because we've had several gym owners who basically said, nah, we're not going to do this. We follow the CDC guidelines. We've done everything that you've said, and that's a negative. So we've got that battle. But here we go. The breaking point for a lot of people has arrived. Some of it's political. I'm not going to wear a mask, which I think is stupid. Somebody asks you to wear a mask in certain areas. You can respect the other people around you. It has nothing to do with stealing your rights or stealing your soul as an American. So stop that crap. I've been very clear. If you're in your car, if you're going for a walk, if you're outside, if you're going for a run, if you're hanging out with your family, that's just silliness. If you're in a public place, it's about respect. With freedoms come responsibilities, and that includes making sure, you know what? If it's possible I could spread this thing to one person if I had it and I was asymptomatic, then why not be smart? Like I said, they come into your house, tell you got to wear a mask, then you have a problem. But if a store asks you, guess what? Do it. And then there's the other question. A question that we need to really start thinking about here, which is schools. So Jack doesn't know this yet, but because of his aunt, who's really cool, but she had a double lung transplant about 3 years ago. She has serious issues. Now, she's much better than she was before, but the reality is she can't in any way, shape, or form get a respiratory disease, especially something like this, with zero treatment at this point in time. So Jack doesn't know, but he is going to, because we don't know what's going to happen with schools. For a lot of parents out there, they're trying to figure it out. So we're going to move him into a private online school, which will have opportunities for tutors, at least until there's a vaccine that his mother thinks is good enough that works. And the vaccine, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for a lot of other people out there, they're looking around as they head into summer and get through this point. They've had the kids home from school for several months now, and they're thinking to themselves, is there or isn't there going to be schools? And I think that's really something that isn't being talked about and needs to, because quite frankly, kids are driving parents nuts. But how far are they falling behind?
Dr. Fauci, virtually every day we seem to hear from you things we can't do. But when you're asked, can we go back to school? I don't hear much certitude at all. I hear, well, maybe it depends. All of this body of evidence about schools around the world shows there's no surge. We've so politicized this and made it politically correct. Guess what? It's rare for kids to transmit this. But I hear nothing of that coming from you. All I hear, Dr. Fauci, is we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't play baseball. Can't you give us a little bit more on schools that we can get back to school?
And I think that's a real thing. I've looked around the world, and they're not the spreaders that people think. In fact, according to several new studies that were all put together, most asymptomatic people won't spread at all. But when there is somebody who is a spreader, They call them like a virus chimney. They spread a lot. So you could have 1,000 people in the room and 10 people could have COVID and be asymptomatic, but only one may spread, but that one is a super spreader, and it will spread it to several different people. Schools around the globe, masked. A few places were bizarrely, they're making kids wear hats 6 feet. But the reality is most schools that returned, there was no super spreading. There was none of those things. And we've got to get kids back to school because the psychological aspect as well. Kids are falling behind. My son is not playing sports like he used to. And he's playing, we'll go out like he's here right now. So he's going to be here with me for another couple weeks, and he'll go home for a month, and he's going to come back for a couple weeks before he starts whatever that we're going to start. But as I was talking to Jack, it's like we're doing as much as we can physically, but he's missing that structure of sports. He missed a certain structure of school, and partly because the school wasn't set up for it. And I talked to more parents, and it's the same thing. They feel like they're falling behind in a major way. I don't see a reason why kids can't go back to school. And if you're going to have them there, let them be kids. Let them be kids. You could take precautions, but the last thing we need the teacher to do is not only try to teach a class, but make sure the kids wear their mask and also be the social distancing police.
I feel very strongly we need to do whatever we can to get the children back to school. So I think we are in lock agreement with that.
I think we do. I think we need to do everything we can to get kids back to school. But it's also going to be a parent thing. Because some parents are going to choose to keep their kids out because maybe they've got grandma or grandpa living with them and they can't risk it. Some kids are going to be in a situation where mom and dad have to send their kids to school because at this point in time, they're both essential workers. They're going to work, and there's nothing more that they can do. They've got to do this. We're hearing all kinds of things across the country as staggered days. One thing I saw, they were going to put like plexiglass up, like the kids are in a penalty box at a hockey game in between each other. I thought, are you insane? If you're going to let them go, let them go. Well, they could get sick. Kids get sick. It happens. But this is one of those things where the chances of them getting this and dying is, you're more likely to get hit by lightning. These kids are more likely to get hit by lightning. The flu is more dangerous. Well, they could spread. They could. At this point in time, it seems to be it's everywhere. So this is part of that portion where we need to learn to live through it and around it. And that's where mask comes in. If we wear masks and we do the things that we need to do when asked, as far as the mask and certain parts of social distancing, we should be able to live around this thing while they figure out how to get the best therapeutics and some sort of vaccine. But remember, that vaccine is more than probably 8 months to a year out where we get it in mass quantities. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. And the mask thing, that's the funny thing. The mask thing is now coming up because Republicans are going, yeah, you know what? We need to wear masks.
Life-saving practice has become part of the political debate. So if you're for Trump, you don't wear a mask. If you're against Trump, you do. That's why I've suggested that the president occasionally wear a mask, even though in most cases it's not necessary for him to do so. The president has plenty of admirers. They would follow his lead. It would help end this political debate. The stakes are too high for this political debate about pro-Trump, anti-Trump mask to continue.
And it's ridiculous. Like I said, on the mask thing, I wear my mask. They ask me to wear it around here. They ask everybody. When you're inside the building and you're going to be around people. So I'm in my studio. Obviously, I'm not going to wear a mask. And I'm by myself up until about 9 or 10 in the morning. I'm by myself, basically. I don't see anybody. So I'm not wearing a mask. When I go to the other side, we start prepping for my other show that I do with my partner. We, in fact, are our producer for our other show, he has some underlying health conditions. He actually will get here early. He'll do some stuff, but when we start to prep as a team, he goes into another room and we Skype him because he feels like he's going to catch everything, which kind of, in a way, we always kind of make fun. He kind of does. He takes a lot on himself. But it shouldn't be this crazy debate. It shouldn't be. It's also about respect. And we could sit here and play the BS game. It's about respect. That's it. I respect you enough that if this makes you feel better, I'm good with that. Do I know it works 100%? No, because I get 1,000 things. Do I think it could stop some? Whether it's me, potentially, if I have it, giving it to you or vice versa, then I'm going to do it. There is a line that everybody draws, and some of that is basically, hey, I won't wear them, which is stupid, to, like me, if I'm going outside on a walk, I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm working out at the park, I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm going for a jog, I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm walking with the kids, I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm in my house, I'm not going to wear a mask. In my car, I'm not going to wear a mask. Costco, I'm going to wear a mask. That's it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Something you should be wearing is Raycons. I love my Raycons. I got some new ones coming. Why? Because Jack was here, and that's all I need to say. So, best. When you're making a noise isolating, call that you need to make, you've got your video Zoom thing up and and the kids are in the background and you tell them to be quiet, but you can still hear everything and everybody else can hear everything. That you want Raycons. You don't want the dangling wires or stems. And all you have to do is watch TV and any of these news shows, and when they're interviewing people, you see the headsets they're wearing, whatever. You want something you can't see, but you respond to. That's Raycons. 6 hours of talk time with the E25s, well under $100. Sound quality, amazing. Bass, boom, 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 noise isolating fit. If people like Cardi B and Snoop Dogg could love them, why shouldn't you? And the price is right, under $100, and I'm going to save you 15%. How? Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. You'll save 15% right there. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
Until we find a vaccine, these are really important. This is not as complicated as a ventilator. This is a way to indicate that you want to protect others. And we all need, during this period, until we find a vaccine, to think of us as protecting not only ourselves, but others during this highly vulnerable period.
Aw, Mitch. Shouldn't be a debate. Shouldn't be a political thing. And you heard Lamar Alexander say, if you voted for Trump, you don't wear a mask. It shouldn't be any of those things. Nobody wants to wear a mask. Nobody's like, I'm super excited. Let's totally wear them. Nobody wants to do that. It's about showing respect. With great freedoms come great responsibility. And if it makes other people comfortable, even if you believe it's baloney, all you need to do is just say, hey, I'm going to do this because whether I believe it or not, it makes other people feel better. Like I said, we all have limits. Totally fine with that. But we need to stop this crap. It's here. It's a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's real. It's here. Now, we can debate the severity of it. And like I said, I think the flu, without treatment and a vaccine, what don't we have for the coronavirus, treatment or vaccine, would be potentially even more deadly than this. But because we have a treatment and a vaccine, guess what? It's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Of course, Russia, Russia. Did they, didn't they? Trump, that Republicans deny the Democrats are coming. I do think there's something here. Doesn't mean that it was as big as the Dems are saying. Also doesn't mean it was a hoax.
President Trump on Twitter Wednesday morning claiming the Russia-Taliban bounty story is, quote, just another hoax. He says it's something made up to damage him and the Republican Party. A military official tells ABC the information about the Russia bounty program was first gleaned from special operations raids last January on Taliban locations where large amounts of American cash were found. Lawmakers from both parties who've been briefed on this issue said the information was gravely serious. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Democrat.
Nothing in the briefing that we have just received led me to believe it is a hoax.
Yeah. Now, did he know a ton about it? Was it buried in one or two briefings? Nobody paid that much attention to it? That's always a possibility. I don't know. I wasn't there. Were you there? Was it something that should have gotten more attention and maybe people to bring it up to Trump? They're like, it's Russia. He's not going to buy it. It's also a possibility. There'll be more investigations, and this thing may die as early November, if you will, or there may be more legs to it, and this could be setting up yet another run into let's get Trump if he wins a second term. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Some people say it's truly not summer until July 1st. Why is that? Because today, producer Phil, you will appreciate that, it's Bobby Bonilla Day, baby. Bobby Bonilla Day. Yes. You guys don't know who Bobby Bonilla is? A baseball player. After the 1999 season, the Mets owed him about $6 million. They released him from his contract. They were in some money troubles. So his agent and them got together, including Bernie Madoff, and they deferred his payment to 2011 with a catch. This is all you have to pay, but it has to go and stretch out this long. They said, totally fine. He gets $1.19 million. It started in 2011 and goes all the way to 35. So every year, he gets almost $1.2 million starting July 1st. They write him a fat check. That's a win, kids. That's a win. Next time, have Bobby Bonilla do your contract. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We can continue to reopen, to get back to work, get back to school, get back to health care, but we have to act responsibly as individuals if we simply do three things. Practice social distancing, wear facial coverings when we can't social distance, and practice proper personal hygiene. If we do those three things, we can turn around the tide of these new cases and continue to reopen.
Alex Azar right there. Let me break it down. What he said is, don't be an idiot, use some common sense, and stop being gross. Huh? Wash your hands. I do. Do it for 5 more seconds. Maybe put soap on this time. Oh, okay. Don't touch your eyes, if you can. Wear face coverings when needed. And don't gather in large groups. What? Break that down for me again, Chad. Okay, I will. A little common sense. Don't gather in large groups. Your friends say, dude, I'm going to have 200 people over this week. We're all going to stand inside of a room. Maybe say, you know what? I'm going to give that one a skip. Good luck to you guys. Going into a store that's crowded, or any store, say, you know, I'm going to put just a face covering on. Okay, cool. Right? And here's the other one. You leave the store, you go home, put your groceries and stuff away, wash your hands, like 10, 15 seconds, put a little soap and water on there, a little bit warm, and then, guess what? I think you'll be fine. I think it's pretty much common sense. We'd all love to hang out in a room with 100 of your buddies. We'd all love to do that. We'd all like to be in a situation where we don't have to wear a mask when we go into a store. And we'd all love to be able to come home from that store, just reach in and grab that donut without washing your hands and eat it. This is just the situation we're in. The quicker that we can get a handle on this, the better it's going to be for our economy, which, as we all know, as we start to reclose things, oh, God, it's a situation.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warning it is unlikely the economy will make a full recovery until people feel safe to go about their daily lives. This in his testimony to the House Financial Services Committee.
The rise in joblessness has been especially severe for lower wage workers, for women, and for African Americans and Hispanics.
New jobless claims have been in the millions each week for more than 3 months.
Yeah, that's huge. So think about that. He said something that we've talked about here. Even if you said today, hey, look, guess what? It's a situation where this thing has disappeared. May come back in 3 months, but we're going to allow people to resume their normal lives the way movie theaters are open. Everything's back to normal. There are still going to be people that psychologically are going to feel uncomfortable. There's no vaccine. There's no therapeutics. So it's a lot that goes into this. It's not just a quick fix. What's that mean for our economy? Our economy is going to still slowly go along, even when we get back to some normal way of life without a vaccine or anything. People are going to still worry. So it's not just, everything's cool and go back out. There will still be a third of the population that is worried about getting something. And there's also going to be people that are worried about, am I going to have a job if this thing returns? Am I going to have enough money? We have not seen the financial hit from this in a real way that we're going to see starting in August. So a month from now, those forbearance payments will be missed to the point where foreclosures are probably going to start. People are making business decisions to walk away. Those rent protections are pretty much done. People are going to be asked to leave and start getting, whether they like it or not, thrown out of their places. That's real. And it's coming. So the best thing we can do is not be gross. Wash your hands. Wear face coverings when needed. Not in your car, not in your home, not on a walk with your kids, not at the park. Right? Like that's and the social distancing. It's me. I love social distancing. It's great. This is like my buddy said yesterday, man, this thing was made for you. You don't like people? I do like people. I like people in a one-on-one setting. I don't like crowds. I don't go anywhere. I leave here, I go home, hang with the family and lizards, come in, do the exact same thing. We're getting ready for several days off here, starting tomorrow. People say, what are you going to do? We had to fill out this questionnaire before you can come back in the building. It's what they ask you to fill out. So it's like one of those monkey surveys or whatever it is. So because they want to gauge, as people go on vacation, okay, where did you go? You know, gauge your risk factors. So I filled mine out when I took a few days off last week, and it came back that you have less than 1% chance of catching this. Yeah, because I went like 2 or 3 days where I didn't even leave the house to go to the front yard. Well, that's weird. No, I've got everything I need. I don't need to do anything. It's just little things, right? You don't be like me. This took years of training to get to this level. Don't be like me. But we can be smart. And understand this, too. With that personal responsibility, especially when it comes to a younger group of people, that we would have all done the same thing. We'd all thought we were bulletproof. We're in our 20s. We're having fun. We're looking good. We're partying. We're picking up guys and gals. We're having a good time. That, hey, mom and dad, maybe you tell your kid, hey, right, because they're millennials, so it's like whatever their names would be. Aubrey, Aiden, right? Apple, whatever they are. Hey, if you're going to go out and party with your friends, maybe it's best that you stay with them for a while, because grandma and grandpa, you can't see them, and we don't want you coming here because, you know, mom's got an underlying health condition. Maybe that goes along with some of it. So everybody can play their part. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program as well. All right. So they're a couple. You saw them. They are the couple seen around the world. They're meme-tacular. I actually put a meme up a little while ago on the old the Twitter. The McCluskeys, St. Louis, little private area that they lived in, got overrun by protesters, and everybody's come after them and attacked them. All they were trying to do was potentially defend their home. Did they overreact? Of course some people are. You see a bunch of people coming. Well, they were black people. We'll get to that in a second. But you see a bunch of people coming, and you see them break down a gate to get into something. You probably think, well, they're here to do something, right? Because there's a group of them, and they broke down a gate. So my assumption is they mean some business. So they're going on all the talk shows to talk about the fact that, guess what? They're not all that, and they were worried.
My house sits right on the edge of a road called Kings Highway, and our private place is Portland Place, where my wife and I were preparing to have dinner, maybe 70 feet from the gate. By the time we looked up and we saw the marchers coming down Kings Highway and getting loud, we looked over at the gate, and there's no police there. Our private security wasn't there. Nobody's there. And I look over at my wife, and I see all these people outside the gate, and then the gate bursts open. People start coming in, and then a flood of people start coming in. They're angry. They're screaming. They've got spittle coming out of their mouth. They're coming towards the house. When I saw that mob come through the gate with their rage and their anger, I thought that we would be overrun in a second.
That's what he thought. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. But they become the butt of everybody's jokes. Look, you have every right to defend yourself. It's your private property. They broke into a gated community. There's no police around. He had seen what happened in St. Louis earlier in the last couple of weeks in protesting and how the police just kind of let things go. These people were pissed and angry. Did he overreact? We could talk about that, the way he handled the gun. Him and his wife, we could absolutely talk about that. Especially his wife and the fact that she pointed at protesters, but they did worry. Can you have worry? Is that possible? Are we at that point?
By the time I was out there with my rifle, the people were 20 or 30 feet from my front wall. I've got a low wall that separates the house from my front yard. And so I was literally afraid that within seconds they would surmount the wall, come into the house, kill us, burn the house down, and everything that I'd worked for and struggled for the last 32 years.
And by the way, he talked about the fact that, him and his wife, they got that house, and it was run down, it was beat down, and nobody wanted it. They went in there, and they spent years remodeling it, fixing it up. They were screaming things at him like, we're going to kill you, we're going to kill your wife, and stuff like that. I don't know how real that is. But it was, look, they have a right to defend themselves. The way they handled their weapons, a little atrocious. We can all agree on that. Especially her pointing her little pea shooter at everybody. But the way they handled the situation, while silly, they have every right to protect themselves if they felt they were threatened on their property with an angry group of people who did enough to break through a gate. Absolutely. But they're racist, right?
What do you make of the attacks on you for doing what we used to believe every homeowner had an obligation to do? Why are they denouncing you as a racist?
I don't understand. And, here's the interesting thing. I've spent my career defending people that are defenseless, for people that are having a hard time making their miracle happen, for people that don't have a voice. My black clients love us. The night that this happened, I had some of our black clients calling us up till 2:30 in the morning, telling us how wrong it was, the way the press was writing us up, telling how wrong it was that we should be portrayed as racist.
Yeah, welcome to the world. Is what it is. And they said they support the Black Lives Matter message. They were worried. People get worried. They do. In the face of certain adversity and certain things, some people act in certain ways. They were worried. Man, woman, in their late 50s, early 60s, seeing a group of kids and protesters come through a gate. Did they overreact? Potentially. But did they have every right to protect themselves in what they deemed as a threat? And they didn't shoot anybody. They didn't kill anybody. I think they did. And we talk about gun safety and the way that they handled their firearms. Very Barney Fife. There's a reason that Barney, while had one bullet, was not allowed to put it in his gun ever. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of chaos and craziness. So the police are moving in on the chop chaz. They're moving on in. They figure a couple murders, some rapes, a bunch of shootings, that maybe this experiment of peace, love, and vegetables hasn't gone the way that people thought it was going to go. And it's time for mom and dad to come pick up their kids. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, feel free to tweet at me. Valor Gold. Insane the way that the marketplace. We were just talking about Bobby Bonilla. What are you doing to protect yourself, but also build wealth? Think about this. 20 years ago, if you would have invested the same amount of money in the stock and bond market as well as the same amount of money in gold, what do you think would happen? Gold's outperforming the market by 300%. Valor Gold's going to show you, with over 50 years of experience, how you can protect yourself and your nest egg in your retirement, and at the same time, build on that. Build wealth. 800-202-6936. You've got an unstable, volatile market and a dollar right now that is all over the place. Gold is a great place to be. It's not just a safe haven. It's a great place also to get an immediate source of money when you need it. It's IRA eligible. 800-202-6936. Get your free exclusive copy of the #1 way to protect your wealth with confidence from Valor Gold Group. 800-202-6936. Visit them online, valorgoldgroup.com/Chad, VALOR goldgroup.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
819 potential new Oscar voters invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and a lot of young and diverse names on the list.
She's dying. Can you be a little more sensitive?
Including the Farewell star Awkwafina, Joker's Zazie Beetz, and Spider-Man star Zendaya.
Oh, cool.
The Academy says it's reached its goal set in 2016 in the wake of the Oscars So White backlash to double its number of women and underrepresented minorities by this year.
There you go. So the Oscars can be diverse. Here's the thing. It's not. What could you do? I mean, movie theaters aren't open. Every time you think you're going to get something, it's like, all right, they're going to release this movie, Unhinged, July 1st. You're like, okay. And then they're like, okay, movie theaters are going to stay closed for a while. Then AMC comes out, largest chain in the country, says, we're not going to open up until August. And you're seeing spikes across the country. It's like, there is not going to be any Oscars. It just isn't. And if there is, it'll be late next year, or it'll be a weird situation where the Oscars are going to, and I know that they've expanded it and they're going to allow streaming first run movies that were going to be released to be nominated, that just decided, hey, we're just going to go and just get this did and release it. I know that's going to happen. But it is kind of weird, right? But the good news, it's going to be more diverse. More diverse for a bunch of other movies. I don't watch any Oscar movies. Like, I can't remember the last time I watched a movie where I was like, oh, because I'll watch, like, every once in a while you'll see one. I've seen that. But most of the time it's like, that was artsy. That was artsy. That was black and white. That was paint drying. Literally paint drying. I'm not going to watch that. Was that guy last year in... was he Danish or whatever? He did the movie about paint drying, and he just filmed the movie, and people are like, oh. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? My goodness me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can Text the program as well as we continue to see this thing go on of chaos and craziness with COVID and the protests. Understand this. Hong Kong's got their issues as well. China, once again, involved.
It's hard not to see this as an end to the one country, two systems state of affairs that Hong Kong was built upon. That actually many people will see this as the end of Hong Kong as we know it and as we've understood it, at least since the handover from the British government, if not before that.
Yeah, the way that Hong Kong was always supposed to, they thought it was going to be ruled was one country. So it was under British rule, and then it reverted back to China, and China had set a deadline of, we're going to let you guys be your own thing, but we're going to start to come in and play a bigger role. And now we're at the point where that's all said and done. Hong Kong is going to be China. There's going to be a battle. If COVID wasn't going on, could this be bigger? Has Trump dropped the ball on this? I think so, because he's so worried about a trade deal. He doesn't want to piss the Chinese off. When, quite frankly, I don't give a rat's ass about the communist government. I'm talking about the individuals. I'm talking about the communist government. And this will get ugly. In the midst of COVID, we're heading to something else as they start to put judges and people in place that are going to crack down on people who've known only freedom. Get ready for that and what that's going to look like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
4th of July is set to be a beach bummer in Southern California, with coastlines, piers, and bike paths shut down in at least half a dozen counties. In neighboring Arizona, the death toll climbing as gyms and bars are shuttered once more. Infections are now rising in 35 states, with 17 states either pausing or rolling back reopenings and warning against large gatherings.
Whoa! Is what I say. Yeah. Rising. Climbing. Continuing to go up. Up, 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 up. Not stopping. Not right now. Why? It's a good question. Fauci yesterday talks about what the potential could be.
We are now having 40+ thousand new cases a day. I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around. And so I am very concerned.
Yeah, who wouldn't be? 100,000 a day? Texas setting records almost on a daily basis. Florida continuing to see rising cases. California ready to head back in. And here I am in Arizona. Closed everything outside of restaurants. We've shut pretty much a lot of stuff down. Again. Frustrating. Absolutely. But what are we going to do? We don't have a vaccine. And we don't have a therapeutic. We need to get those. As far as vaccines go, there's plenty of them that they're trying.
4 vaccines have been approved for moving into clinical trials. That is authorized to go into clinical trials so we can get the data on those vaccines. And another 6 are in the pipeline for us to review.
FDA wants a certain threshold as far as what it can stop as far as the vaccine. So you know that every year when you get the flu vaccine, Fauci said the best we've ever done, I think, was measles, like 97%. That's pretty good. With the flu, some years it's 30, 40%. Some years it's 50%, 60%. But if that gets by you get the vaccine, but you still manage to get sick, they have therapeutics behind there, and that's the other thing that we have to look at, which is the therapeutic sides of it, which it will become, first of all, the thing about therapeutics that's much different. Remember, therapeutics aren't going to stop you from getting it. What they're going to do is they're going to fight off and mitigate any of the damage it could do and help you recover faster from it. And the thing about therapeutics is these are, the majority of them, not all of them, are already drugs that are out there. They're available. So we know what the side effects are. Pfizer just released their first data. It's not been peer reviewed yet on the 40 patients or so they gave the vaccine to. And they gave them 2 shots. And the one side effect they see so far is you may get a fever for a day or 2, but it goes away. So they're going to have to expand that much faster to get where we need to go. Think about what we're talking about. Having a vaccine for this coronavirus potentially by the end of the year, but not really available to everybody en masse, probably till June next year, maybe May. And that's if they find it. And there's no guarantee that they're going to find one that works. Therapeutics, different story.
As of recent count, FDA is monitoring more than 144 active trials of therapeutic agents for COVID-19 and another 457 development programs for therapeutic agents is in the pipeline.
That's a lot. Because once we have a therapeutic that we know is really effective, that we know, all right, this works for this, that takes all the pressure off in a lot of ways. There are still people that are vulnerable, that there's still people that if they got this, they're going to be in potentially for the fight of their lives. And there will still be some people that are healthy, and no matter the therapeutic or any of the stuff, that they may pass away. But that happens with the flu. We don't stop down for the flu. The difference between this and the flu is flu, we have therapeutics and vaccines. We have none of that for this. So what do? Simple. Wear a mask when asked. Right? Shouldn't be that hard. Go somewhere, wear a mask. They ask you to wear a mask. And by going somewhere, I always want to tell everybody, first of all, your rights aren't being infringed upon. Right? I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. Costco come to you and say, look, everybody who comes in here now has to wear a top hat. You go, what? Yeah. And a monocle. You can't get in. It's their right. But it's also just being respectful. That's it. Wash your hands and avoid large crowds. You want to hang out with 5 or 6 of your family members on a barbecue weekend? I mean, that's just stupid to say you can't do that. It really is. If they come into your house, say you guys can't hang out with each other, and you have to put your mask on, and I mean that's when you're like, okay, you guys have overstepped the line. We need to stop making these things political, but we have made it ridiculously political.
Life-saving practice has become part of the political debate. So if you're for Trump, you don't wear a mask. If you're against Trump, you do. That's why I've suggested that the president occasionally wear a mask, even though in most cases it's not necessary for him to do so. The president has plenty of admirers. They would follow his lead. It would help end this political debate. The stakes are too high for this political debate about pro-Trump, anti-Trump mask to continue.
He's never going to wear a mask. He is never going to wear a mask. He said it over and over again. And what I'm hearing from my sources and people I know who talk to him and other people, they're all saying the same. Even Handy apparently is basically, you should wear a mask. I mean, last week he was here in Phoenix in a church with 3,000 supporters that were cheering and screaming, and virtually none of them wore a mask. That's sorry. I mean, it's just about having respect. You don't have to, right? They didn't ask you to. At the same time, shouldn't you think, well, I'm going to step it up just a little bit here. Even if I think I can protect one person, even if it gives somebody the confidence to come out when they wouldn't come out, shouldn't you?
Encourage people to wear facial coverings where social distancing was not possible. Our administration is promoting the practice. When the governor and I talked this week, we talked about the importance in this moment of calling on people across Texas. Wear a mask. With everything we see happening here, with the rise of cases, particularly among young people. If you're going to go see mom and dad, if you're going to see any elderly friends, a good time to wear a mask just to make sure that no one would inadvertently convey the coronavirus.
Yeah, and think about it for yourself, too. If you can, I don't want to say eliminate, But if you can reduce the potential of either spreading it, and that's if you get it, or potentially giving, I mean, wouldn't you just... It's not about being macho. It's just being respectful. But we can't have a conversation in this country about any of this stuff because we turned everything so damn political. Everything is political, and it doesn't need to be. With great freedoms come great responsibilities and respect. We no longer respect each other, and we don't have to. Why? Because we have the internet, and we have everything from Facebook to Twitter to everything where we can go and scream and yell at each other with zero repercussions whatsoever, and troll each other. It should be about respect. But we don't even respect each other's views. Why would we do something this easy as saying, wash your hands a little bit more, right? And by that I mean, yeah, you go to the bathroom, wash your hands, but I'm talking about maybe you come home from the grocery store, you've been out a few places. Normally you wouldn't think about washing your hands for no reason, if you will, but you do. But we can't, because common sense, we always talk about common sense on our show. It's so uncommon anymore. It should be called uncommon sense. But if we want to see this economy get back going, you can scream hoax all you want. You can scream all of those things. Here's the deal. What's your governor doing? What's your governor doing? My governor here, he's taken more than a step back. Outside of restaurants, he's pretty much gone and closed a majority of the things that he had reopened. California is getting ready to reimpose the shelter in place. Florida and Texas, slowly but surely, every governor I see, they're not having a plan on who to protect. What they're doing is they're going out and they're doing everything they possibly can to not shut it down when really they're just piecemealing the shutdown back. Is what it is. Here we are. I'd rather wear a mask and be able to do the things I enjoy while we search for therapeutics and a vaccine and make other people feel comfortable, even if you think it's a hoax, than to have a pissing match over something as stupid as that while we realize people are dying, people are getting sick, and our economy is slowly but surely spinning and floundering and crashing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I always love to mention it. July 1st, Bobby Bonilla Day. Baseball player, New York Mets. 1999, the Mets are like, hey, we're going to have to cut you, but we still owe you $6 million. And don't worry, though, we got this Bernie Madoff guy. He's totally helping us out. So how about we do some? He negotiates a deal where he starts getting paid 9 years ago. And it goes for another 15 years to 2035. He gets $1.19 million every July 1st. By the way, last time I checked, that Bernie Madoff character, it didn't work so well. Did not work so well. The way they did his contract is they gave him 8% interest because they thought they were going to get 10% from Madoff, and they thought they'd come out ahead. What I'm trying to say, kids, Bobby Bonilla, get him to do your next contract, whatever it is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Rough Greens. Last night, I'm relaxing. I'll say it. I'm chilling in my jacuzzi. Get home. Long day. Got a big chair, like where the towels kind of sitting there, and drinking my little Sprite-like drink. Drink this tastes like Sprite, but it's like natural water. My dog Doodle comes flying up and lands on the chair and looks at me. He would never have done that in the past. He's been taking Rough Greens for going on 2.5 months now. It has changed everything. He had bad hips. We had contemplating at the point where he'd become kind of nippy and bitey that you couldn't even touch him, that we were thinking he's in so much pain. We've tried everything. Maybe it's best that we put him down. Lo and behold, we start giving him Rough Greens, and within about a week, we saw a difference. Within 10 days, it was a whole new dog. Here we are 2.5 months in, and I'll be darned if he isn't crazy. All you do is spread it on the food. Just sprinkle it right there and just let them go to town. Tastes great. 25 natural vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. You get it. It brings that food to life, and it will change your furry friend's outlook, especially if they got some aches and pains or they get a little bit older. You can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. Get a 14-day jump start from Rough Greens for $14.95. So it's 14 days. It's less than $15. See the difference it makes. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88, 833-MyDog88, or go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a peek around the club, find out what's trending in the world of the interwebs. What's making it big? You ever go to Google Trends? If you ever try it, folks, it's entertaining. Go to Google Trends, and you can go and see what's like trending around the globe. Sometimes it's just funny to see what other places, like what's going on elsewhere. And you're like, oh, really? So that's what's trending there. Because a lot of times you'll find one or two things where it's exactly the same. And then you'll find stuff that is like, I've never heard of that. Canada Day is trending here. It's Canada. Happy birthday, Canada. You racist. Oh, Chad. Carl Reiner passed away yesterday, 98, still trending. Andrew Tolles, horrible story. Baseball player. Still should be playing baseball. Was arrested. He's homeless. I think he's only like 28. He's got mental problems. But he was found last week and arrested behind a store in Key West, Florida. So it's just one of those things where they say he suffers from schizophrenia. He was in the league in 2018. It's a sad, sad situation, but it shows you, look, that's a real thing. That affects everybody. You see athletes and stuff. People go through stuff, and you have no idea. And that's sad. Bobby Bonilla Day, we've been talking about that. Bobby Bonilla, the former Mets player who hasn't played for the Mets since 1999, still gets $1.19 million every July 1st. Congratulations, sir. You are a winner. Head on over to the place that we like to call the Fightin' Twitter. Take a look over there. See what's going on. Ed Henry, Fox News reporter, has been fired for willful sexual misconduct. Bernie Madoff, why is he trending? Because Bernie Madoff was part of the Bobby Bonilla deal, because he was telling I think it was the Wilbons at the time, that, hey, just stick with me and you could pay him 8% interest on that money and I'll get you 10% interest. It was a Ponzi scheme. Did not work out. Did not work out at all. Olivia de Havilland, the actress, 104 years old today. What? And Pfizer is trending as well. And the reason for that is Pfizer has released their first data on their vaccine trials. I think it was 36 of 40 participants. And remember, the side effects was what a lot of people are paying attention to. And currently, they said that the side effects seem to be, it's not peer-reviewed, a bit of a mild fever for a day or two, and then it goes away. But got to have a bigger data point than 36. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Chinese, over the last week or two, have identified a virus in the environment. It has not yet shown to be infecting humans, but it is exhibiting what we call reassortment capabilities. And they're seeing virus in swine, in pigs now, that have characteristics of the 2009 H1N1, of the original 1918, which many of our flu viruses have remnants of that in it, as well as segments from other hosts like swine.
Fauci's fun. He was like, "Oh man, you're awesome. You're so much. Let's hang out." So that was yesterday. So hold on a second. I want to back up for a second. So COVID still here, not going anywhere, shutting things down. The economy's crashing. Global economy is in the toilet. So we got that going on. Flu season, not the worst, not the best, but we're heading into it in full. And now you're telling us, hey, just want to give you guys a heads up. I want to give you guys a heads up. There's something in China, shocker, China, that potentially could jump out of the pig and into a person, and we could be having something that is, well, you kind of get where you're going. That's the perfect storm, if you will. Ugh.
When they all mix up together and they contain some of the elements that might make them susceptible to being transmitted to humans, you always have the possibility that you might have another swine flu type outbreak as we had in 2009. It's not so-called an immediate threat where you're seeing infections, but it's something we need to keep our eye on.
Yeah. And the other thing they did say about this, though, on the good news side, is that they believe the vaccine that has worked for H1N1 and a few other things would probably potentially work for this as well, or something similar, so we wouldn't be in a situation where it's as novel as the coronavirus. But just want everybody to be aware that there is a potential that the world could catch more on fire later on this year. I told you the second half of the year could have a hold your beer moment to the first half of this year. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. I'm going to talk about this. Right? We live in a woke world. Everybody's woke. I am not super woke. People say, are you woke? I'm not woke. I'm just getting up. Eyes are kind of groggy, right? Throw some water in my face. I understand wokeness, but I'm not uber woke, right? As far as, because I think woke half the time is people are over trying to be woke. I'm aware. I try to have an understanding. I'm respectful. Woke? I feel like you're trying. Like you're putting an effort in that you don't need to. You're the Eddie Haskell of words, if you will. God rest Eddie. Passed away a couple weeks ago. Corporations are doing wokeness. And we've said on this very program for several years now, as I've talked to CEOs, I've interviewed CEOs of major corporations, and they'll all say the social media world has changed a lot of different things to the point where they could handle a downturn in the economy much better than not being on what people see as the right side of an issue of wokeness. And that's tough if you're a corporation, because people look to you, and now what they're doing is they're threatening you. They're holding stuff over you. They're coming after you for even having a different opinion. One of the former owners of Home Depot, perfect example, doesn't own Home Depot anymore. He's not involved in the company anymore, I don't think. He may have stock and stuff, but he's a supporter of Trump. My friend who works at Home Depot says people all the time say, I will never come to your store because you and one of your owners is a supporter of Trump. And you're like, okay. It's like, this is where we are. This is absolutely where. And the left has understood this for a long time, right? You hit people where their money is, and you can get people's attention. The problem is that's gone too far. We got the cancel culture now. We're more interested in destroying lives than anything else. Punishment, not progress. And that's sad. And corporations are terrified. So they're afraid of being held hostage.
Powerful businesses are facing pressure from their customers and employees to act.
I say to you today, no more. No more racism of any kind.
Ben & Jerry's, the Vermont-based ice cream company that is no stranger to activism, offering one of the most strongly worded statements calling for concrete steps to dismantle white supremacy in all its forms.
In order for us to make the kind of progress that we need as a nation and as a society, it requires us to acknowledge and to embrace some hard truth.
And I've talked about that. We have to have conversations in this country. And they're going to be uncomfortable. And especially really uncomfortable if you take everything personally. But I feel like so many of these companies are doing stuff to be virtue signaling when, I mean, it's, and let's be real, it's virtue signaling or it's signaling for one side of the aisle. All of them. Nike, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, all of them are doing stuff to uber virtue signal in the politically woke world because they're terrified.
Nike flipping its iconic slogan, "Just do it," on its head. Now pleading, for once, don't do it. Don't turn your back on racism. And 9 of Detroit's largest businesses, including General Motors CEO Mary Barra, now coming together to pledge that they will push for action.
We will stand up against injustice, and that means taking the risk of expressing unpopular or polarizing points of view, because complacency and complicity sit in the shadow of silence.
Yeah, I get that. But companies, you know, it's crazy. Like, I'm totally like, I want a hamburger. I don't need politics with my hamburger. I get that you want to do stuff. That's fantastic. I always think everything starts with the individual. They do, right? It starts with the individual. But it does frustrate me in so many ways. Like, the NBA is getting ready to get their season restarted in this bubble. I mean, at this point in time, it feels like it's just going to be an all-star game. Because, like, I don't want to play. I'm not going to play. You know, we're going to come for a week, and the minute we lose a game, we're eliminated. And they're going to wear Black Lives Matter slogans on their back, and apparently the court's going to be placed Black Lives Matter, and there's going to be there comes a point when I'm like, okay, I'm inundated with stuff, and I don't care what it is. I wouldn't care if it was Trump. I wouldn't care if it was, you know, pro-life, pro-choice. At some point, I'm here for, I don't want to be preached at. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And if I want to be preached at, I'll go to church. And if I want to, there's ways to find it. And it's good that you could take a stand, but I also think there comes a point when it becomes not only virtue signaling, but it becomes so overriding in the other thing that we were going to do or watch or whatever that it takes away from any of it.
Today, something has changed. And for the companies like Ben & Jerry's that have long spoken out, it's overdue.
Typically, what companies do is use that power to advance their own narrow self-interests. There is a cost that if the rest of the society is burning down around us, can't have a healthy company in a sick society.
He's right. So many of them are doing it because it makes them feel better. And it gets people off their back. And they're looking like they're woke and then go about their business. If it gets them a little bit more revenue, they'll be totally fine with it. They'll be totally fine with it. It's great. Like that Blackout Tuesday on Instagram and everything else. Did you do that? No, I didn't do that. Why the hell would I do that? Here's a look at me thing. Aren't I a good person? It's just, it's stupid. I don't buy into it.
L'Oreal, the largest cosmetics and beauty company in the world, announced Saturday that it will no longer use words like, quote, whitening and fair on the packaging of its skincare product. The L'Oreal Group has decided to remove the words white, whitening, fair, fairness, light, lightening from all its skin evening products.
Okay. There you go. You're going to do that. So you're going to stop all that. What about teeth? Are you going to whiten teeth? Are you going to, what are you going to do? Well, we don't do it, Crest. That's on them. But Unilever, all these companies are pulling stuff. I understand. And it doesn't mean we don't do, but I'd rather have them, look, rather than post something on your Instagram that says we're supportive, how about you donate money? How about you bring in young kids from the inner city, give them internships? How about you do some of those things that I think really make a difference than the virtue signaling? And they wouldn't do it if they didn't think there was something for them at the end of it.
Coca-Cola pausing advertising on all social media. The company is saying there is no place for racism on social media. So Coca-Cola, just the latest company, in addition to Hershey's, in addition to Unilever earlier today, announcing that they are going to halt advertising on social media. And of course, this is a direct aim at Facebook, which has been under pressure because of this flow of advertisers deciding to support this boycott.
So boycott it. That's fine. It's funny, though. You still have a Facebook page. You still are doing some stuff on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. You're using influence. You're still doing some of those things. You're not halting it. And you're halting it at a very convenient time when the rest of the world's on fire and nobody's spending money. What would it be like if this was normal summer? Virtue signaling? Absolutely. For their own best interest, and some of that may be just to essentially get ahead of something that people may be yelling at you to do something, for sure. Doesn't mean their heart's not in the right place, and doesn't mean they don't believe those things. But at some point in time, I think we just sit back and think, wow, I feel like we're losing the plot in so many ways, and we're still not discussing things and moving in a direction that I think we should be moving into, which is helping the inner city and underserved communities, especially minority communities, get themselves on track by taking in the knowledge and the opportunities. But if we could put something on our Instagram, solid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Here's somebody who built something up. Raycon. Ray J built this company. It's amazing. His earbuds cost well under $100. These E25s. And it's not like, oh, they're $100, but no, they're well under $100. They're not $99.98. They're well under $100. And I'm going to save you 15%. But think about, you go out and you spend $150, $200 on earbuds. They got dangling wires and stems. It's a pain in the butt. This 6 hours of talk time, better bass, better control, no stems, no wires, noise isolating fit, phone calls, podcasts that you're listening to, video conference chats. It works to a T. It's amazing. Get yours now at buyraycon.com/Chad and save 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Coronavirus. It's not very woke. You're not very woke, coronavirus. Things it's doing to people, causing us to change the way that we live our lives and we do certain things, ruining things, ruining stuff like concerts.
Jake Moser and his family can't get enough of live music.
I love going to concerts. Been to probably 130 concerts at this point in my life.
And one concert Jake says his mom and relatives wanted to attend was the Celine Dion Courage World Tour. The concert was scheduled for last March. Jake says his mom wasted no time buying nearly a dozen concert tickets.
March 29th was the actual concert.
How was it? Oh, that's right. Literally, you dodged a pandemic. Bad music. It's not very nice, Chad. Especially on this Canada Day, making fun of Celine. So how much did you pay for said tickets, you asked, to go to see Celine Dion?
Jake says his mom plucked down a whopping $4,600 for.
I would have paid $4,600 not to go see Celine Dion.
Jake says his mom plucked down a whopping $4,600 for the concert tickets. Then the coronavirus pandemic happened. The Celine Dion concert was postponed. Jake and his family say they simply want their money back, but can't seem to get it.
I mean, this is $4,000. This isn't chump change.
According to Jake, his family used Ticketmaster along with StubHub to buy the tickets. They even purchased insurance for the tickets, just in case something happened.
Well, did something happen? Yes, something happened, but something, I'm sure they're going to force majeure, or they want to give you some sort of, because I've got a couple buddies that are working in here and they had tickets to go see, one of them had tickets to go see Rage, and he wanted his money back, and they're offering him like, hey, we'll give you, we'll give you the makeup date when and if we ever go see concerts again. Plus, we'll give you a $50 credit. They're doing everything not to give their money back.
Still, Jake and his mom say they can't seem to get their money back.
And even the insurance isn't doing anything.
Jake isn't alone when it comes to his frustration. In an email, StubHub writes, Mr. Moser's event continues to be postponed, and we're waiting to hear next steps from the event organizer. Should the event be rescheduled, Mr. Moser's tickets would be valid for that new date. Jake says he'd rather just get his money back.
This isn't their money. They're literally sitting on everybody's money and making interest off our money.
Yeah. That's it. That's absolutely it. Was it Pearl Jam, producer Phil? You'd know better than me. I think it wasn't Pearl Jam that tried to do a concert tour without Ticketmaster?
Yes, and they failed miserably.
So as annoying as they are, they do serve some sort of purpose. I think now in a more digital age, we can probably figure that out, but they've got it locked down. StubHub and a few other ones. So it's tough. But man, $4,600 to see Celine Dion. Are you insane? That's for 12 tickets, right? So let's see here. $4,600, divide that by 12, $353 a piece. So you figure it was $100 for a ticket and then $253 for the service charge. Seems about right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. More and more and more and more people are looking around saying, what are we going to do? What's happening? It's back. It never left.
It was reasonable to think of this as a California miracle. Unfortunately, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, things have gotten out of hand. I think we let our guard down.
Yes, you have, as have several states. But here's something I'm throwing out there. I think, and this is just me, even if you would have stayed in place till today, eventually, by coming out, guess what would have happened? Kind of the same thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are now having 40+ thousand new cases a day. I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around. And so I am very concerned.
That right there is the one and only. Couldn't get any bigger, better, exciting. Dr. Anthony Fauci. 100,000 a day, you say? That seems like a bit much. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Will it happen? I'm assuming there's going to be some days, potentially, as we test more, that we could see this take place. Are we there yet? No. Doesn't mean we won't get there, kids. But the reality is, it's not a good look. It's uncomfortable. I'm trying to figure out what to do. Why is that? Because we have a situation right now where we're looking at the economy go, and it's not helping. And there's some things we can do to help.
We can continue to reopen, to get back to work, get back to school, get back to health care, but we have to act responsibly as individuals if we simply do three things. Practice social distancing, wear facial coverings when we can't social distance, and practice proper personal hygiene. If we do those three things, we can turn around the tide of these new cases and continue to reopen. I
think that's something we can do that would help eliminate some of this. Doesn't mean we're going to eliminate all of it. I was reading a story today where this 23-year-old woman, she took every precaution possible. I mean, every precaution. She social distanced. She wore a mask if she had to go outside. She didn't hang out in clubs, do any of those. I mean, she took tons of precautions, more so than even me, and I am the king of social distancing by nature. She still got it. The community spread is real, so we're going to have to deal with that. So the things we can do to protect ourselves as much as possible, wash our hands as much as possible. Yuck, I know. But not just after you use the loo. After you go to the bog, the bathroom. But I'm talking about go to the store, right? So you go into the store, you come back, got something to eat. Maybe you go wash your hands before you eat that. Wear a mask. Not hard? Well, Chad, you can infringe on my right. No, we're not talking about infringing upon your rights. I'm not saying wear a mask in your house. I'm not saying wearing a mask around your kids when you're on a walk. I'm not saying wear a mask in your car. Don't be an idiot. If they say that, you throw a fit, I'll stand right with you. But we can do some little things that may help. But at the end of the day, what I want to see governors do is talk about how we're going to try to live through this thing and around this thing while returning to some normal way of life, and at the same time, how we protect the vulnerable and go from there. Because what I'm hearing is we're trying to play catch up on something that we're not going to be able to catch up on. We're trying to stop something that at this moment in time, the most important people, not only to the economy in stopping this, are the doctors and the scientists who are going to come up with hopefully some sort of therapeutic or vaccine. So how do we live amongst it? How do we live around it without spreading it? Knowing that there is going to be spread. Knowing that there's going to be a chance every time you, being a healthy person or somebody who's willing to take a risk, step outside of that door, that there is a potential that you may get this. I see governors trying to do things where they're like, well, we're going to close this, and we're going to try this, and we're going to move this here, we're going to move this there. Newsom, we're going to close the beaches in California, but you can still eat inside at a restaurant. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Close the beaches? Well, yeah, because people will be outside at the beach. Okay. And this thing's not good in sunlight. That we do know. It's not good in heat. That we do know. Why is there a rise in, if it's so bad in sunlight and heat? That's what I heard yesterday. Why is there a rise in places like, Arizona? Simple. The rest of the country comes outdoors for their 3 months of summer. We go indoors because it's 400 degrees. But we also have a lot of young kids who are out partying, having fun. Things we can do? Absolutely. Because we want to fix the economy as much as we want to make sure that we're healthy. Let's be real. We want to make sure we get this thing going. Jerome Powell.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warning it is unlikely the economy will make a full recovery until people feel safe to go about their daily lives. This in his testimony to the House Financial Services Committee.
The rise in joblessness has been especially severe for lower wage workers, for women, and for African Americans and Hispanics.
New jobless claims have been in the millions each week for more than 3 months.
Yeah. Now they're talking about it reversed. I think it's square root recovery, which is really weird, right? Like, what is this? So you've got the V shape, which is, something collapses and it hits and boom, like a ball, it bounces straight up. That's what everybody's hoping for. And there's a couple different kind of recovery. What this means, though, is you're going to see it continue to head down. Then it'll boom. It'll head up a little bit, and then it'll get to a certain level, and it levels off. And then it's beep, where we don't go down, but we don't go up. And we get muddled in this kind of malaise of just getting by, doing enough. Maybe a sector does okay here, but another sector struggles, but there's no real oomph. And that's what we're headed towards. And the longer this goes, the longer it's going to be before we even get to the point where we're starting to go back up before we get to the beep portion of it. Little things we can do, make things a little bit easier. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be a battle over, well, I don't want to wear a mask, man, because if I wear a mask, it's like, if you wear a mask, that means that you, like, shut up. Wear a mask. When asked to wear a mask. All right? It's that simple. If you're asked to wear a mask, well, you're taking away from my constitutional rights. Again, you're going to go to a store. They have the right to say, could you please wear a mask? Now, if you have underlying health conditions, talked about this, right? Kids that are like 3, you don't have to wear a mask. First of all, they're not going to. If you've got real breathing issues, underlying health conditions, you don't have to wear a mask. But outside of that, stop making it personal.
Life-saving practice has become part of the political debate. So if you're for Trump, you don't wear a mask, and if you're against Trump, you do. That's why I've suggested that the president occasionally wear a mask, even though in most cases it's not necessary for him to do so. The president has plenty of admirers. They would follow his lead. It would help end this political debate. The stakes are too high for this political debate about pro-Trump, anti-Trump masks to continue.
Lamar Alexander, he's a Republican. Mitch McConnell.
Until we find a vaccine, these are really important. This is not as complicated as a ventilator. This is a way to indicate that you want to protect others. And we all need, during this period, until we find a vaccine, to think of us as protecting not only ourselves, but others during this highly vulnerable period.
There you go. Mike Pence.
Encourage people to wear facial coverings where social distancing was not possible. Our administration is promoting the practice. When the governor and I talked this week, we talked about the importance in this moment of calling on people across Texas. Wear a mask. With everything we see happening here, with the rise of cases, particularly among young people. If you're going to go see mom and dad, if you're going to see any elderly friends, a good time to wear a mask just to make sure that no one would inadvertently convey the coronavirus.
Simple and easy. It's not hard. Little things you can do. And the psychological effect, it can help on people get back out there and do things. Because there is a psychological effect. Some people who may have the means to get back into the economy will not get back in the economy if they think if I have to go outside, I may get sick. Some people are just going to say, you know what? Even though I have the means to get back in the economy, I'm not going to go out and spend my money, even though I may still be working, because I'm unsure that this economy is going to grow anymore, and they're worried about their job tomorrow. So there's a lot that goes into it besides the health side. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. Get the hate. Get the hate all the time. I do. And I'm okay with it. Again, I don't mind it, but it's just like, come with a reason to dislike me. Yesterday, I posted a video. Did it on YouTube. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. Subscribe there. We're doing more and more with that. We're going to do more and more with that. We're just testing the waters as we do certain things. But know this. I like discussions, like open-minded. I am very independent. And I tell people, even people who are supporters of Trump, it shouldn't be an either-or thing. You can be a critic of the president in some of the things he does. Doesn't mean you hate him. And vice versa. You could support the Trump and some of the stuff he does. Doesn't mean you love him. It's like the police. We talk about this all the time, right? You can look at a cop and say, you killed that person. You're a bad human being. You're a murderer, Derek Chauvin. You did that to George Floyd. Doesn't mean everybody who puts on the uniform is a bad person. And it doesn't mean It's an either or. We've so put ourselves in that. It's like, I'm either never going to wear a mask or I am going to wear a mask. It's like, stop being so absolutely black or white. Have some flexibility. I don't know how people survive on a daily basis with their inflexible attitudes. I don't know how they do it. They do, but I don't know how. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Rough Greens. My dog loves Rough Greens. Doodle, new lease on life. With Rough Greens, you get 25 all-natural vitamins, 20 digestive enzymes, 15 powerful strains of probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, and so much stuff. And what it is, it's a powder. You put it on the food, because that food that you give them, that dry food, all that stuff's meant to live on a shelf. It's not really meant to be like, oh, there's nothing living in it. There will be when you put Rough Greens in there. On top of that, the stuff it does for your dog, the way it interacts with you. Let me tell you something. Doodle went from, we're not quite sure if he's going to make it, to a dog that bounces around the house like a puppy and does things that I've never seen him do in the 3 years I've had him. It's changed his life. If you want to help your furry best friend, you want to extend their life, you want to give them a healthier option and a better life, and maybe even eliminate some of the dog's symptoms, this is what it's all about. It's a 14-day jumpstart. It's $14.95. You go to roughgreens.com/chat or call 833-MyDog88. That's 833-MyDog88, or go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. It'll be the best thing you could ever do for your furry friends. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
President Trump on Twitter Wednesday morning claiming the Russia-Taliban bounty story is, quote, just another hoax. He says it's something made up to damage him and the Republican Party. A military official tells ABC the information about the Russia bounty program was first gleaned from special operations raids last January on Taliban locations where large amounts of American cash were found. Lawmakers from both parties who've been briefed on this issue said the information was gravely serious. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Democrat.
Nothing in the briefing that we have just received led me to believe it is a hoax.
Was it a hoax? Is it a hoax? I don't think it's a hoax. How serious did they take it? How much information was there? Remember, they get a lot of information. Not everything gets to the president. Here's something that I'm going to say. If it's on page 2 or 3, there's a very good chance that President Trump probably isn't reading it. It's not about him or the economy. Probably not going into great detail of this. That's the reality. Mike Pompeo today.
It's not just the Russians. Indeed, probably not majority of the Russians. Money's flowed from lots of places, from Iran. Even today, the Iranians continue to undermine what we're trying to accomplish in terms of peace and reconciliation.
Yeah. Now, will the Democrats make more of it? Of course, because their guy's not in the hot seat. Will the Republicans make less of it? Of course. Why? Because their person's in the hot seat. It's the way it works. Do I think there's some things that need to be looked at? Absolutely. Do I think we could just poo-poo it and say, yeah, it's no big deal? No. But if you don't know, essentially, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown. White House at first like, it wasn't a report. Then it was like, yeah, there was kind of a report. Then it wasn't a report. And over the weekend, the New York Times reported that there was bounties, dollar bill bounties offered up by the Russians to kill American personnel, soldiers, you name it, as well as NATO allies to the Taliban. Mike Pompeo's right. You don't think there's other monies that's flown in there? Well, the difference is, come on, Trump, we're looking at you. What are you going to do with the pooter? What are you going to do? Something needs to be addressed in this. It does. Something needs to be addressed when it comes to this. Absolutely.
What the hell are you going to do about it, Mr. President? Are you going to let Putin kill our damn troops? Are you going to get off your butt and get out of the damn bunker and send a message to President Putin that we're not going to tolerate this? Or are you just going to let this be a political football that we have a conversation about? So either you get on the money and address it to the country and then tell the mothers and fathers of our troops what you're going to do right now. Let's stop playing this game of political football with their lives.
Donna Brazil. I absolutely agree with her. What are you going to do? Now, go and start a war, right? You don't do any of those things. But at the same time, you look into it, and what kind of sanctions can we put? How can we make their lives a little bit tougher? Because they're playing games in Syria, they're playing games throughout the Middle East, and they're enjoying it. How do we use our might to get a little fright? And it doesn't mean we go in with force. But how do we do that? Especially as we're trying to negotiate something with the Taliban so we can get our asses out of there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's being chopped down. See the way I did that? Oh, yeah, kids. We'll talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Our job is to support peaceful demonstrations. But what has happened here on these streets over the last few weeks that is lawless and it's brutal. And bottom line, it is simply unacceptable.
Then why did you let it go on, Chief Best Seattle? You let the chop and the chaz go on to the point where it became lawless. It became very Baghdadi / ISIS. Not as bad, but you get what I'm saying. There was no law. People running around. There was fights. There was rapes. People, and of course, we've had some murders, right? We haven't had murders. One of them was a hit. It was the summer camp where even Jason's like, I'm going to give this one a pass. I'm going to say no. So they're moving in today. They're moving in. Finally, they're going in. Jenny Durkin, the mayor of Seattle, you're a buffoon. It's just like a street carnival, except for the part where nobody leaves, they ruin everybody's business, and people get killed. What street carnival do you go to? I'm curious. It's a farmer's market, except with people being shot. Finally, after giving up their police station and allowing these kids to play whatever it is that they were playing, they said enough. They tried to negotiate. Are you kidding me? We're going to negotiate. Sorry, there's no negotiation. This is a city. You need to give back the city in 5 minutes, or the city is going to take itself away from you because the city has its own, quote unquote, people that were going to come in and rain on your parade. And we don't want violence, but you've had plenty of it here in the Chop Chaz. Hey, it's me, the Slap Chop. Remember that guy? It's insane. You've allowed this to happen. You've allowed people to take over a portion of your city. Then you negotiated with them. You've told everybody it was kind of like a street carnival. It's like a farmer's market. There have been 2 people killed, several people shot. There's been rapes. There's been all kinds of issues that have taken place there. And what have you done? You've stood back and hoped that they were going to go home? You failed. You absolutely failed. You gave up a police station. It's insane. And then you're like, we're going to talk tough now.
Under an executive order from Mayor Durkin, the Seattle Police Department was among the first of the city agencies to enter this area today. Our job was to vacate the area and issue dispersal orders.
You need an executive order from your mayor to go back to your police station and take back your city? Are you blanking kidding me? Come on. This is ridiculous. How do we get here, people? Because you let kids run wild. Tell them they're super special. They hijack a movement because they're pissed off and angry and they think the best thing that we can do is show everybody. You continue to give and give and give, and you turn a blind eye to all kinds of crap, and then you watch a great city like Seattle become... Well, they've only had like 70 murders last year. Okay. It's not like Chicago. Chicago's still one of the safest cities in America. By the way, crime, though, in Seattle is through the roof. Crime is crazy. And then you let people hijack a portion of your city and your whole thought, well, under an executive order, we're going to go back in and take back our stuff. We ask pretty please.
I support peaceful demonstrations. Black Lives Matter. And I, too, want to help propel this movement forward toward meaningful exchange in our community.
Stop acting like a politician and an activist, Chief Bass, and start acting like a cop and the chief of police that has seen a good portion of an area taken over by a bunch of privileged... Oh, Chad, you said it. Yeah, a good portion of them. Overeducated, indoctrinated kids who are still hating America, pissed off at capitalism. All the while, they'll take a picture on their iPhone and they'll Snapchat it and they'll throw it up on Instagram and they'll beg people for food. That's hilarious. Man, you solid. Stop acting. It's time for somebody to be the adult. It is either between you or Mayor Durkin. And as we've seen with this mayor, she is not an adult.
At this point, we've had at least 13 arrests. I don't have the specifics on all of the arrests.
What about the murder? Or murders? What about the shootings and the other things that have gone on? It's Lord of the Flies, except for the part where it's fun and cool. Like where there was a plan. Those kids from Lord of the Flies would have eaten these people alive. Well, Chad, the Lord of the Flies, I'm just saying, it's a bad summer camp, and it's finally being put to bed. Goodbye, summer camp. Thanks so much for the stuff and the things and the whatnot. You've been awful. Don't ever come back again. By the way, tons of lawsuits flying in from residents and from businesses. Businesses are leaving that area. And I'm okay with the peaceful demonstration. Heck yeah. Peaceful the hell out of it. When I was in England, I was on Oxford Street, which is where our building was, where I worked in London. And we had protests and peaceful demonstrations all the time. At least once or twice a week, there'd be some sort of parade of protest. There was a parade one time of Hare Krishnas. There was like 150 of them, and they were banging their drums and and I was like, wow, that's totally cool. But I'd have been a little pissed if they would have taken over the entire neighborhood, not let anybody really in or out, and made my life hell getting to and from my job. Because after a while, I'm no longer supporting you. I'm starting to hate you. And your cause, whatever cause that is. And it's about Black Lives. It's not about Black Lives Matter. For so many of these youngsters, this was about not growing up a little longer. Have you ever seen the movie Taps? It's a great movie. This is Taps, except for hippies and uber progressives. And Taps was... think it came out in 1980, 81, and it had huge stars in it, like mega big stars. So the movie comes out, and it's about a school that is a military academy. It's been around for a long time. And eventually they decide, you got George C. Scott, Tom Cruise, Sean Penn, Timothy Hutton, that they're going to shut the school down, and the kids that are there that have thrown their life into it, they're not going to have it. So they take over the school. And eventually it ends in gunfire, and it's just, there's some kids that are killed, and they had to bring in the big guns, if you will, the police, and then they fought to bring in some of the military, and but this is what it is, except for they were the military kids, and these are the hippie kids. And you hijacked the Black Lives Matter movement because you wanted to not grow up for yet another summer. And I'm all, hey, let's get behind the cause. I don't have to get behind the people that are pushing certain things in the cause that, go against the, capitalism and freedom and our democratic republic. But I can get behind what so many of them would like to see in some ways. Yeah. You gave up your city. What a boob. Was that Oklahoma yesterday? They tried to do it in Oklahoma. They tried to set up a little Chaz or Chop area, and the cops came down on that really hard. I think it was the mayor, the governor was like, yeah, we're not Seattle. So you just keep moving along here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Okay, here's the deal. You've been inside for a long time. You know it. I know it. Guess what? It's starting to show.
The COVID-19 lockdown has made working out harder and snacking a whole lot easier. So it's no surprise that the average person has gained 5 pounds since they started self-isolating. According to a study of 2,000 Americans who routinely exercise, 65% admit to letting themselves go a little while taking a break from their fitness routine. And nearly half are concerned that they won't be able to get back into pre-quarantine shape.
So I was seeing, was it study.com put out a new study they did, because that's like what they do, that about a quarter plus of people who regularly go to the gym say they will not return to the gyms anymore. That's big. And some of you were like, oh, I was just getting ready to go. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you're sitting around all day. And you're like, well, this, because it starts out like at first, like it's no big deal. It's going to be a couple weeks. And then it goes on. Then you're reaching day 60 and you can't see your feet anymore. And you're fused to the couch. And yeah.
1 in 2 respondents said they've been eating more pasta and other refined carbs, while a third said they've been drinking more alcohol in quarantine. That said, many are still trying to stay healthy.
Kinda. Quarantinis. It's not hard to do little things. But I get it. I mean, I like the kids, especially. They're around because it would be summertime. They're snacking. Like Jack's put on like 5 or 10 pounds. Why? Because he's used to playing travel basketball, football, and he's got his workout thing that he does with his other coach for his football. And he does that like 5-6 days a week, all that stuff. And you're sitting around all day and you're playing. And then you go, okay, can you get this? Can you get that? Next thing you know, you got some golden Oreos. And next thing you know, you can't tie your shoes.
64% of respondents have tried an in-home workout. At 48%, outside walks are the most common method for exercising while in isolation, with exercise apps and health websites rounding out the top 3. 54% have ordered workout equipment too, including everything from dumbbells and yoga mats to stationary bikes.
54% have ordered them, and 53% have never used them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me, text the program. You know what somebody should have done? They should have went like a la Richard Simmons or Jack LaLanne style to the Chaz and tried to get a big giant like calisthenics thing going on. That's fun. Let's do it. Come on. Ah! Gabby.com/Benson. GABI.com/Benson. You're going to want to go there. You're going to give you apples to apples comparison on things like homeowners and car insurance. It's simple. It takes 2 minutes, absolutely free. They're not going to spam you or robocall you. Put in your info, and within 2 minutes, you're going to get all kinds of like, hey, this is the exact same coverage you have, but here, you're paying the exact amount you should be. Over here, you're paying too much. What? Too much. You don't want that. You want to save? I saved $1,000 car insurance. You can do the same. Average Gabby customer saves $825 per year. That could be you. It takes 2 minutes. Absolutely free. Check it out for yourself. Gabby.com/Benson. GABI.com/Benson. Gabby.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
We need every state to have a mandatory mask law. I just think we can't dither around en masse. Everybody needs to be wearing one when they're outside of their home.
Dr. Ali right there. Don't dither around. Do not dither, they say. I was just reading a article in the AP. It says, no evidence that protests spread the coronavirus. I'm like, okay. So if we wear a mask, why are we closing stuff again? I mean, that's a fair question, right? If it works, why do we have to close anything? If it doesn't work, why do I have to wear one? Secondly, if you really believe that there wasn't any spreading inside of the protest that with who knows how many people over a 2, 3, 4 week period in some cases that are still going on as they bust up the chop today, and you got the new Chaz out in New York, but if you really believe that, then why are you closing beaches? I don't get it. So if you protest, apparently if you have the right wokeness for the right cause, the coronavirus is like, dude, I am behind them and their cause. But these people at the beach and at the river, those people who are also outside and not in mass, standing side by side, but hanging out, those people, I'm getting them. Do we really believe that? I don't know. How do you deal with stuff like that? I don't get the it's like, well, like I understand the inside thing. Like Trump being inside in an arena, even though it was only partially full. Although he had 3,000 people here last week in a church that held about 3,500 people, nobody was wearing a mask, and it shows everywhere, right? It shows whether it's the flu or it doesn't matter what it is, that it spreads faster indoors than it does outdoors. That I totally get. But it's so funny the way that we like pick and choose. Well, over here, and then of course there's that, and then if you guys over here. But no. If there was mass spreading of the coronavirus inside of any of these protests, do you think you'd hear anything about it? Oh, Fox would probably report it, and a few others would maybe touch on it, and even the ones that believe in the cause, it would be a throwaway at the end of a segment. After, 90 minutes of beating up Trump, the last thing is, oh, by the way, 50,000 people were infected by this. And that would be it. And it was the exact opposite, though. Fox would do the same thing if there was any spread going on in any of the Trump rallies or any of that stuff. And on the other side of it, that's all the other side would talk about. It's just everybody's so disingenuous. It's so hard to get a straight answer. It's like even with this Russia-Afghanistan thing. I'm like, so there's a gang of 8, there's 4 on each side, and you guys you all hear different things. You 4 hear one thing, this 4 hears something else. Is there anybody that's genuine in politics anymore? It's tough. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show TV's on the YouTube. Please go like and subscribe. We're going to be doing more and more as we get everything kitted out. but go check it out on a daily basis if you could. I love that. Check out the Instagram as well. You have a blessed and wonderful day and weekend. We are off till next week. Get ready for this next Wednesday. And Craig Collins is going to be filling in, so be kind. Be kind to each other. Celebrate. Social distance. Wear a mask when asked. And, hey, as always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.